The proximity alarm screamed through the bridge of the ironclad, and Captain Maya Carter was already moving before her navigator finished the sensor report. 3 years running, salvage and rescue in the frontier void had taught her that hesitation killed faster than plasma fire. "Derelict vessel, Mark 732 relative," Lieutenant Connor Hayes called from his station. "No active transponder. Hull breach on multiple decks. She's venting atmosphere." Maya studied the flickering hologram. The ship was elegant, too elegant for this sector. Curved hull plating that caught starlight like polished obsidian. Propulsion systems that screamed military grade even in their death throes. This wasn't some broken down freighter. "Life signs?" she asked. Hayes hesitated. "One. Faint." Reading Krynn biological markers. The bridge went silent. Maya felt the weight of every eye on her back. Krynn. The word carried the gravity of a decade-long Cold War, of colony burnings and unanswered distress calls, of an empire that treated humanity like vermin infesting their galaxy. "Captain," Hayes said quietly, "we could just mark the coordinates and move on." Maya's jaw tightened. She'd lost her parents and younger brother when Krynn forces glassed the agricultural colony on New Prosperity. She'd watched the orbital bombardment from a transport ship, 17 years old and powerless. The memory still burned, but she'd also sworn an oath when she took command. "Any soul in distress, no exceptions. Prep the medical bay," she ordered, "and get a security team armed. Connor, you're with me." The boarding tunnel extended with a metallic groan, mag seals engaging with the shattered airlock. Maya led her team through, pulse rifle ready, each step measured. The Krynn vessel's interior was a study in contrasts, luxurious materials scorched by weapons fire, ornate wall panels cracked and bleeding sparks. Bodies littered the corridors. Krynn bodies, their chitinous armor shattered, their six-limbed forms twisted in final agony. This hadn't been an accident. This was an execution. "Contact," whispered Sergeant Lisa Okonkwo from point position. "Forward chamber. Single heat signature." They found her in what might have been a command suite, slumped against a wall beneath a viewport showing the infinite dark. She was smaller than Maya expected. Krynn were typically 7 feet tall, but this one barely matched Maya's own 5'10". Her armor was ceremonial rather than tactical, decorated with intricate patterns now stained deep violet with her blood. The alien's eyes snapped open as they approached. They were striking even by Krynn's standards, multifaceted like cut gems, shifting colors that human scientists still didn't fully understand. Intelligence burned in those eyes and something else. Pride. Defiance. "Stay back," Maya ordered her team, keeping her rifle trained center mass. "We're here to help. Do you understand English?" The Krynn's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. When she spoke, her voice was surprisingly clear. The translator implanted her throat, converting her native clicks and harmonics into perfect standard. "I understand perfectly, human. I also understand that you are pointing a weapon at royalty." She tried to stand, failed, and settled for straightening her posture against the wall. "I am Crown Princess Velara of House Thenix, third inheritor of the Krynn Dominion, commander of the Stellar Fleet, and voice of the Eternal Council." Maya didn't lower her weapon. That's a lot of titles for someone bleeding out on a dead ship. "My circumstances are temporary." Velara's eyes fixed on Maya with unsettling intensity. "You will escort me to the nearest Krynn outpost. You will provide medical care and accommodations befitting my station, and you will bow when addressing me." "Connor!" made a sound somewhere between a cough and a laugh. Lisa's finger moved closer to her trigger. Maya just stared. "Let me tell you what's going to happen instead," Maya said slowly. "We're going to stabilize you. We're going to take you to our medical bay. And then you're going to explain why a Krynn princess was left to die in the frontier void, because this..." She gestured at the carnage around them. "Doesn't look like an accident." Velara's eyes narrowed. "You dare give me commands? Your entire species exists at the Dominion's mercy. One word from me could see your colonies burned to ash?" Maya cut her off. "Like New Prosperity? Like Harmony Station? Like the 7,000 civilians on Terra Nova?" Her voice stayed level, cold. Yeah, Princess, we're real familiar with Krynn Mercy. Now, you can accept our help, or you can stay here and bleed out on your pretty ship. Your choice. But I don't kneel. Not to you. Not to anyone. For a long moment, the only sound was the distant groan of failing hull supports. Then Velara's body sagged slightly, and Maya saw past the arrogance to the pain underneath. Very well, the princess said quietly. I accept your assistance. They carried her to the ironclad, Lisa and Connor supporting her weight while Maya kept watch. Princess's blood left violet trails on the deck plating. In the medical bay, Dr. Jacob Torres worked with calm efficiency, his instruments adapting to Krynn physiology through databases humanity had compiled from a decade of conflict. 3 fractured ribs, extensive internal bleeding, and what looks like directed energy burns, Jacob reported. Somebody wanted her dead and took their time about it. Velara lay on the medical table, her armor removed, her body wrapped in regenerative gel. She looked smaller now, vulnerable, but her eyes had lost none of their fire. Captain Carter, she said as Maya entered, we need to speak privately. Maya dismissed Jacob with a nod and pulled up a chair. Talk. How much do you know about Krynn succession politics? Just what everyone knows. Your empire's ruled by the Eternal Council, positions inherited through bloodlines. Very traditional, very rigid. Traditional, yes, but the traditions are fracturing. Velara's hands clenched. There is a faction within the council that believes humanity has grown too numerous, too bold. They've proposed a final solution to what they call the human infestation. Maya's blood went cold. Total extermination. Systematic elimination of every human colony beyond your home system. Blockade Earth until your population collapses. It would take decades, but they have patience. Velara's eyes met Maya's. I opposed this plan. Loudly. Publicly. I argued that humanity had proven itself worthy of coexistence, that your resilience and innovation could benefit the Dominion if we negotiated in good faith. How noble, Maya said flatly. It wasn't nobility. It was pragmatism. A war of extermination would cost the Dominion resources we cannot spare, would unite human resistance in ways we've never faced, and would create martyrs that would haunt us for generations. Velara tried to sit up, winced, settled back, but the council didn't want pragmatism. They wanted purity, so they sent my own guards to kill me, and dumped you in the void. They couldn't risk a public execution. I still have supporters, reformers who believe as I do. My death needed to look like an accident during a diplomatic mission. Velara's laugh was bitter. They underestimated my pilot's loyalty. He managed to get me to an escape pod before they killed him, but the pod was damaged. I've been drifting for 2 days. Maya stood, paced to the viewport. The stars looked cold and distant. Why are you telling me this? Because your ship's transponder is broadcasting. The Krynn fleet knows I'm here. They'll come for me. And they'll destroy you to ensure there are no witnesses. As if summoned by her words, the bridge calm crackled to life. Captain to the bridge. Now, Maya ran, Velara's warning echoing in her mind. Connor met her at the bridge entrance, his face pale. 3 Krynn destroyers just dropped out of hyperspace, he said. They're powering weapons. The tactical display showed them clearly. Sleek predators closing fast, their gun ports already glowing with building charge. Maya's mind raced through options. The ironclad was a civilian vessel, fast and nimble but armed with nothing heavier than point defense cannons. Against 3 military destroyers they'd last maybe 30 seconds. Hail them, she ordered. The comm screen flickered to life, revealing a Krynn commander in full ceremonial armor. His mandibles spread wide in what Maya had learned to recognize as contempt. Human vessel, you are harboring a fugitive of the Krynn Dominion. Surrender the traitor Velara immediately and your deaths will be swift. Maya kept her voice steady. This is Captain Maya Carter of the independent vessel Ironclad. We rescued a wounded survivor from a derelict ship. Under intersystem maritime law, she's under our protection until we can. There is no law that applies to traitors and the vermin who shelter them. The commander interrupted. You have 30 seconds to comply. The screen went dark. Connor looked at Maya, waiting for orders he knew couldn't save them. Captain. Velara's voice came from the doorway. She dragged herself from medical, still wrapped in regenerative bandages, one hand pressed to her wounded side. They won't let you surrender. They can't afford to leave witnesses. I know, Maya said quietly. Didn't you have a choice? Use me as a bargaining chip. Eject me in an escape pod, tell them you want safe passage in exchange. They might honor that. You could live. Maya looked at her crew. Connor, who'd followed her through 2 pirate raids and a solar storm that should have killed them all. Lisa, who'd given up a military career to serve on a salvage ship because she believed in helping people. Jacob, who'd lost his medical license on Earth for treating refugees without proper documentation and never regretted it. 23 more souls trusting her to make the right call. She thought about her family, about new prosperity burning, about every human colony living under the shadow of Krynn's superiority. About what kind of captain she wanted to be, what kind of person. Nav, plot a course through the razor field, she said. Connor's eyes widened. Captain, that asteroid cluster is mapped as a navigation hazard. We'd need precision flying to. I know what it is. Can you do it? He straightened. Boo. Yes, ma'am. Then get us there. All hands, brace for combat maneuvers. Velara moved to stand beside Maya's command chair. You're protecting me. Why? 'Cause you were right about one thing, Maya said as the ironclad's engines roared to full burn. Humans are resilient. We don't kneel, and we don't abandon people to die just because it's convenient. Even Krynn princesses with delusions of grandeur. The destroyers opened fire, plasma bolts searing through space where the ironclad had been seconds before. Maya's ship dove and twisted, her pilot threading the needle between death and vacuum with the kind of desperate skill that only came from years on the edge. Entering the razor field, Connor called out. Impact warnings on all sensors. The asteroids loomed around them, tumbling chunks of rock and ice the size of buildings, some the size of cities. The ironclad slipped between them like a fish through coral, her smaller size finally an advantage. Behind them, the Krynn destroyers followed, their superior firepower useless if they couldn't get a clear shot. They're spreading out, Lisa reported from Tactical. Trying to box us in. An asteroid the size of a skyscraper filled the viewport, spinning slowly. Connor banked hard, the ironclad's hull scraping against rock with a sound like a scream. Alarms blared. Something in engineering exploded. Hull breach on deck 3, Jacob's voice came over the comm. Sealing now. Velara gripped the railing, her alien features unreadable. But Maya saw her watching the crew, the efficient chaos of humans refusing to die quietly. There, Velara said suddenly, pointing at the tactical display. That destroyer, the one to our port side. Its shields are calibrated for large impacts. Smaller debris passes right through. How do you know that? Because I designed the shielding system. It's meant to stop human missiles, not natural objects under a certain mass. Valera's eyes gleamed. If you can maneuver them close to that cluster of small asteroids, their own shields will kill them. Maya didn't hesitate. Connor, you heard her. Lisa, target that cluster with everything we have. I want it fragmented into 1,000 pieces. Aye, Captain! The ironclad swung in a tight arc, her point defense cannon screaming. The asteroid cluster shattered into a cloud of spinning shrapnel. The destroyer, trying to line up a kill shot, plowed straight into it. The small rocks passed through their shields like they weren't there, ripping into the hull with kinetic fury. The destroyer's reactor went critical, a miniature sun blooming in the dark. 1 down, 2 to go. They're breaking off, Connor said, disbelief in his voice. Both remaining ships are retreating. Maya watched them go, her knuckles white on the armrest. Why? Because you destroyed a Krynn military vessel with a civilian ship, Velara said quietly. Because you outmaneuvered their best pilots in a debris field. Because you just proved everything I told the Council. That humans are not vermin to be exterminated, but a force to be reckoned with. The bridge went silent. Then Lisa started laughing, just a little hysterically, and suddenly the whole crew was laughing, the desperate relief of people who'd just survived the impossible. Maya turned to Velara. We need to talk about what happens next. They gathered in the conference room. Maya, her senior officers, and a Krynn princess who was probably the most wanted fugitive in the galaxy. Velara sat at the table like she belonged there, her wounds healing but still visible. "The council will send more ships," Velara said. "Better ones. They can't let this stand." "Then we need to make sure the galaxy knows why they're chasing you," Maya replied. "We have recording equipment, communications arrays. You could broadcast your testimony, tell everyone what the council is planning. It won't be enough. The Dominion controls most interstellar communication. They'll suppress it. Call it human propaganda." "Not if we send it everywhere at once," Connor suggested. "Every news outlet, every independent station, every colony and outpost. They can't suppress what the whole galaxy hears at the same time." Velara was quiet for a long moment. "If I do this, I can never go home. The council will declare me an enemy of the state. Any Krynn who supports me will be hunted." "Yeah," Maya said. "Welcome to the human experience." Something shifted in Valera's expression, a wall coming down. "You lost family to my people." "It wasn't a question." Maya nodded. "New prosperity. I watched it burn. I'm sorry. Are you? Or are you just sorry you need my help?" Velara met her eyes. "I'm sorry because I was taught your pain didn't matter, that human lives were less valuable than Krynn lives, that your civilizations were primitive experiments we could end when we tired of them." She touched her wounded side. "I defended you to the council with logic and strategy, not because I believed you were equals. I was wrong. You've shown me more honor in 2 days than my own people showed in a lifetime." Maya studied the alien princess, looking for deception and finding none. "If we do this, if we help you expose the council, we're at war. My crew, my ship, will be hunted too. I know. And you're okay with that? With humans fighting your battles?" "No," Velara said firmly. "I'm asking to fight alongside humans. There's a difference." Maya looked at her crew. Connor nodded. Lisa smiled grimly. Jacob just shrugged like the answer was obvious. "All right, Princess, let's burn it all down." They worked through the night, setting up the broadcast equipment, writing the testimony that would shatter an empire. Velara spoke clearly and precisely, naming names and detailing plans, her royal authority lending weight to every word. "The Council of Eternity has chosen genocide," she said into the camera. "They've chosen it not from necessity but from fear. Fear that humanity's rapid evolution threatens our dominance. Fear that your resilience exposes our stagnation. I was marked for death because I dared to suggest we could coexist. This is my testimony. This is my truth. And I will stand with humanity against the tyranny of my own people." They launched the broadcast at 040 hours, sending it to every receiver in range and beyond. Within minutes, it was spreading across the networks, jumping from station to station faster than the Krynn sensors could contain it. "It's working," Connor breathed, watching the response feeds. "It's everywhere." The first response came from a Krynn reform movement Maya hadn't known existed. Pretty. Then a dozen more, voices across the Dominion speaking out against the council. Not all of them, not even most, but enough. Enough to prove Velara wasn't alone. Then the human colonies responded. Ships began moving, militias forming, councils meeting. The galaxy was waking up, and it was angry. "Captain," Lisa called out. Multiple hyperspace signatures, big ones. Maya's heart sank. They'd bought time, but not enough. The council was sending the fleet. Except the ships that emerged weren't all Krynn. "Reading transponders," Connor said, his voice rising with excitement. "Krynn vessels, yes, but also human defense forces, independent traders, even some species we've never seen in this sector. Captain, they're forming a defensive screen around us." "Damn!" The comm channels exploded with voices overlapping transmissions in a dozen languages. But the message was clear. They were here to protect the ship that had dared to tell the truth. A Krynn cruiser, larger than the destroyers but flying colors Maya didn't recognize, moved to take point position. The comm request came through formal channels. "Independent vessel Ironclad. This is the KDS Liberation. Commander Threx speaking. Princess Velara, if you can hear this, you are not alone. The reform fleets are with you. Velara's hand trembled as she accepted the transmission. "Commander Threx, you were my tactical instructor at the Academy, and you were the best student I ever taught, Your Highness. We heard your broadcast. Half the Northern Fleet defected within the hour. We're not letting the Council silence you. More ships kept arriving, a growing armada of the defiant and the desperate. Maya watched in awe as the frontier void became a rallying point for revolution. They're really doing it," she whispered. "They're splitting the Dominion. Civil war," Velara said quietly. "That's what this means. Krynn fighting Krynn. Families divided. Centuries of unity shattered. Is it worth it?" Velara looked at Maya, at the crew who'd risked everything for a stranger, at the fleet of allies gathering outside. "Yes, because the alternative is genocide. Because some traditions deserve to die. Because you showed me that kneeling to the past means standing against the future." The battle, when it came, wasn't in the frontier void. The Council's loyalist fleet arrived to find the reformists waiting, and the fight spread across a dozen systems. Maya and her crew did what they did best. They ran supplies, rescued the wounded, and broadcast the truth from every corner of the conflict. Velara stood on the ironclad's bridge, no longer a prisoner or a refugee, but a leader of the Reformation. She'd adapted to human customs, learning to speak without demanding, to lead without commanding submission. "We're receiving surrender requests from 3 more council sectors," Connor reported. "The loyalists are fracturing. It took 6 months. 6 months of fighting, negotiating, of slow and painful change. The Council of Eternity fell, its members either fleeing or facing trial. The Krynn Dominion fractured into a confederation of autonomous regions, some choosing isolation, others reaching out to the species they'd once oppressed. Velara never claimed a throne. Instead, she worked alongside human diplomats, alien ambassadors, and Krynn reformers to build something new, an alliance based on mutual respect rather than subjugation. Maya stood with her on the day they signed the Accords, a document guaranteeing the sovereignty of human space and establishing formal relations between the reformed Krynn government and Earth's coalition. "I never thanked you properly," Velara said. "For what? Saving your life? Starting a civil war? For refusing to kneel?" Velara smiled, an expression that no longer looked alien. "You taught me that respect isn't given by title or demanded through force. It's earned through actions. You earned mine that first day, bleeding and proud on a broken ship, and you've earned it every day since." Maya looked out at the assembled representatives, at the humans and Krynn and a dozen other species gathering to witness the signing. "You know this is just the beginning, right? There are going to be factions who never accept this. Hardliners on both sides who'd rather die than change. I know, but we'll face them together. Not as superiors and inferiors, not as conquerors and conquered, as equals." They signed the Accords side by side, 2 leaders from different worlds who'd found common ground in the most unlikely place. The galaxy watched, and the galaxy remembered. Years later, historians would debate which moment truly changed everything: the rescue, the battle, the broadcast, or the Accords. But anyone who'd been there, anyone who'd served on the Ironclad or fought in the Reformation fleets, knew the truth. It was the moment a human captain looked at a Krynn princess bleeding in the dark and made a choice. Not to kneel, not to turn away, but to stand firm and demand better from everyone involved. The galaxy had knelt to the Krynn Dominion for centuries. It took one human refusing to bow to start the revolution that would free them all. And it took one Krynn princess brave enough to stand rather than rule to show that change was possible. Neither of them were queens in the traditional sense. They wore no crowns, commanded no empires, demanded no submission. But they led anyway. Not through force, but through the kind of courage that inspired others to be better than they thought they could be. The Ironclad still flies the trade routes, still answers distress calls, still carries a crew that believes in helping anyone in need. And somewhere in the reformed Krynn territories, Velara works to build the future she nearly died fighting for. They rarely meet in person anymore, their duties pulling them to different corners of the galaxy. But they stay in contact, 2 friends bound by the night. They refuse to let fear and hate win, because in the end, that's what it always comes down to. Not weapons or warships, not titles or tradition, Just people making choices in desperate moments, deciding whether to kneel or stand, whether to embrace change or cling to the past. Maya Carter chose to stand, Velara of House Thenix chose to change, and the galaxy would never be the same.